pick Steve Harvey as the representative for all things black. Steve Harvey, let's keep this shit funky. Steve Harvey is on his third marriage. His third wife was mistress to his second wife. Yet, black people have anointed this the oracle when it comes to black dating. This nigga wrote a book on dating. You on your third wife, homie. With all respect, why can't we pick a that know what he's talking about?
Think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie. That was disturbing. With all the emails and the text messages and the different things that were that I was finding out about. I thought the least that he could do, make me whole at the end of it. He left. He just left, walked out the door. Once he realized that I was going to divorce him, he walked out the door. He had a shoulder bag. He walked out. Went right to New York, to our apartment that we had there, which I never got to see, by the way, and then she joined him there. Marjorie joined him there. Never an apology. Steve never said that he was sorry.
Who needs Steve Harvey's books on dating when the real expert might just be his wife, Marjorie Harvey? Marjorie has built a life that some would call a masterclass in securing the bag. She not only created a stable future for herself, but also made sure her children and grandchildren were set for life. Her moves, her strategy, and her ability to lock things down have left people in awe. When you see Lori Harvey gracefully navigate relationships with high-profile men, you can't help but wonder what lessons she might have picked up from her mother. But if you really want the tea, Steve's ex-wife, Mary Lee, is the one to ask. For years, she's been vocal about the rocky love triangle involving herself, Steve, and Marjorie. Mary hasn't held back, sharing stories of how Marjorie allegedly swooped in and turned things upside down. From the outside looking in, Steve and Marjorie seemed like they were destined to be together. But it didn't start off as smooth sailing. Steve reportedly treated his first two wives, Mary Lee and Marcia, as placeholders until he found success in his career. Once the money started rolling in, Marjorie became the centerpiece of his life. However, Marjorie wasn't exactly waiting around for Steve. She had her own complicated history, and it's far from a fairy tale. Back in her late teens, Marjorie was already making waves. Known by some as Lady Heroin, she was romantically involved with men deeply entrenched in the drug game. She wasn't interested in small-time hustlers, though. Marjorie aimed high, fancy clothes, lavish vacations, and a life of luxury were her goals, and she sought out men who could provide all of it. Her relationship with Jim Townsend, a major drug dealer, was a prime example. Despite knowing he was married and didn't want more children, Marjorie stuck by his side. Jim eventually discovered her determination when she stopped taking birth control without telling him. One day, she showed up pregnant, catching him completely off guard. While Marjorie was with Jim, she became deeply involved in the Memphis drug scene. Her reputation grew so notorious that she had to leave the University of Memphis because of the backlash. The streets started calling her Lady Heroin, a nickname she didn't escape easily. Things took a darker turn when Jim faced serious legal trouble. Federal authorities had gathered solid evidence of his drug trafficking activities. Worse, they also had proof tying both Marjorie and Jim's brother to the operation. Facing the heat, Jim decided to take a plea deal. His decision allowed Marjorie and others to avoid prosecution, effectively giving her a chance to move on. Marjorie's past is full of twists and turns, but it's clear she's always had an eye on the bigger picture. Whether you see her as a strategic genius or someone with a controversial history, one thing's for sure: she knows how to navigate life's challenges and come out on top.
Well, they did indict her because, I made a deal with them not to indict. You got to be mindful. At this particular time that I got busted, if you want to call it get busted.
Okay.
They showed me, drug transactions between Marjorie and people that I knew they weren't lying. The people that, she had sold drugs to, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, she 8 months pregnant. We got a 5-year-old daughter, so there was no way, whatever I could do to keep her from going to prison or being indicted. And see, I know how those feds.
After Jim Townsend was sentenced to life in prison, Marjorie didn't waste much time grieving. Within a few years, she was back on the scene looking for her next opportunity. Rumor has it she briefly dated NBA player Todd Day, who even helped her acquire a club previously owned by Jim. However, running the business didn't go as planned, and she eventually had to sell it. Still, Marjorie wasn't the type to stay single for long. Before too long, she married Darnell Woods, one of the notorious Wood brothers, known for their involvement in a substance trafficking ring. The couple welcomed a daughter, Marjorie Harvey, and seemed to be building a life together. However, their world came crashing down when federal agents started closing in on Darnell. Evidence tied him to illegal activities, leading to his indictment and a 37-month prison sentence. Marjorie, once again, decided she wasn't going to stick around waiting for a man behind bars. She divorced Darnell and started looking ahead. While everyone has a past, having 2 husbands with criminal records raised some eyebrows. By this point, her luxurious lifestyle was beginning to look risky and unstable. It was clear Marjorie needed a new direction, and that's when her focus shifted to a certain rising star in comedy, Steve Harvey. In the early 2000s, Steve Harvey was riding high on the success of the Kings of Comedy *. He was no longer a struggling stand-up comedian, but a household name, pulling in serious money. Marjorie had met Steve years earlier when his career was still on the rise, but back then, he wasn't the type of man who could offer her the life she wanted. Things were different now, but there was one problem. Steve was still married to his second wife, Mary Lee. Allegedly, Marjorie didn't jump directly into Steve's life. Instead, she started dating his bodyguard, Big Boom. While Boom might not have been her ideal partner, the connection brought her closer to Steve. As time went on, Marjorie realized her future looked brighter with Steve. Gradually, her relationship with Boom fizzled out, and she positioned herself to catch Steve's attention once again. Steve, who had always admired Marjorie, quickly fell for her charm. While she played the role of his mistress, Steve began taking care of her in ways that left no doubt about his intentions. Even after Mary discovered what was happening, Marjorie didn't back down. She stood firm, knowing Steve's obsession with her gave her the upper hand. Mary tried to fight for her marriage, but as the saying goes, you can't steal a man who doesn't want to be kept. Steve's focus was entirely on Marjorie. He cut ties with Mary and began divorce proceedings, making it clear where his loyalty now lay. Marjorie's boldness didn't stop there. She would reportedly call Steve's house, fully aware Mary might answer, just to rub salt in the wound. Marjorie had secured her place, and there was little Mary could do to change that. Marjorie's journey might be controversial, but one thing is certain, she knows how to play the game to win.
I think he did see her as the best image for what he was trying to do, you see. And so, but who knows his mindset, but because like I said, she ain't just that bright now, but she's shrewd.
But she ain't the brightest person in the room. No, but she's shrewd. I got to give her that. Okay.
And
And she was excellent at taking husbands.
Yeah, the record speaks for it.
When Marjorie and Steve Harvey finally got married, she truly began to reshape her life and influence his. She persuaded her children, even the adults, to adopt Steve's last name. She believed this change would bring them better chances in life, especially with Steve's status and connections. Marjorie also convinced Steve to seek custody of his youngest son from his previous marriage with Mary. Sadly, this decision strained Mary's relationship with her son, and to this day, they've struggled to rebuild their bond. Steve, despite being a public figure with a clean image to maintain, knew about Marjorie's complicated past. Instead of letting it create problems, he worked to help her leave that history behind. He not only supported her emotionally, but also financially, helping to clear up old debts from her days in Memphis. Together, they crafted a new image for Marjorie, presenting her as a sophisticated woman who had left her troubled past far behind. However, not everyone has been convinced by this reinvention. Marjorie often faces criticism, with people accusing her of being more of a con artist than a loving wife. Some claim she's not a gold digger, but a master manipulator who knows how to secure what she wants. One person commented, *, she's been passed around more than a collection plate. Asterisk another said, asterisk Marjorie acts like she's brand new, but she came straight from the streets. Now it makes sense why Lori is so much like her mom. Asterisk others add, asterisk no matter how expensive her clothes are, they can't hide who she really is. Asterisk. These remarks show how polarizing Marjorie is. Some view her as someone who played the game of life to her advantage, using her wit and charm to secure a wealthy, successful partner. Others see her as someone who manipulated her way into a privileged life, leaving a trail of broken relationships and controversy. But what do you think? Is Marjorie just a savvy woman making the most of her circumstances, or is she someone who climbed her way to the top at the expense of others? Let's keep this discussion alive in the comments. And before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep the conversation going. See you in the next video.